These are 3 pet trends that veterinarians secretly hate. Coming from me, Dr. Leash, a veterinarian and a pet owner who honestly just really wishes these pet trends would stop. Trend number 1 is feeding your dog a raw food diet. People often say this is the ancestral or the healthy choice, but let's get real, it's actually dangerous for you and your dog. I don't know where the raw food diet originated, but I'm guessing it stemmed from this idea that dogs are descendants of wolves, and when people view, wolves in their minds, they think of these fierce predators who are taking down prey and feasting on raw meat. People claim that dogs need raw meat in order to be healthy and survive, but dogs are not carnivores. Dogs are omnivores, meaning yes, they do need meat and meat proteins to be healthy and function, but they also need the nutrients from, fruits and vegetables and other plant-based nutritions. So by feeding your dog only raw meat, not only are they missing out on a bunch of key nutrients, because firstly, when you just feed one thing, whether that thing is beef or you just fed a diet of completely spinach or you fed a diet of just cheese, you're missing out on having a complete and balanced diet. The nice thing about dog foods is that they are backed by scientists and nutritionists who are educated in how to create balance and complete meals for dogs. And when you just feed them raw hamburger meat, they're not getting any of the nutrients that they actually need. So that's strike 1 against this trend. But strike 2 is these raw foods have so many more pathogens, like bacteria, like salmonella, E. coli, listeria in them. And yes, I worry about the dogs getting sick from, those pathogens, but also a huge issue is that these are zoonotic things, meaning they can be passed from your dog to us. So if you're walking down the street and you come across a dog and you're saying hi and it's giving you kisses all over your face, and you don't know that that dog eats a raw food diet, you are now at risk of getting, infected with salmonella and listeria and E. coli and whatever other bacteria that dog has in its system because it's been eating unsafe food. I'm not saying that dogs have to eat a standard kibble, because I do think that it's possible to create a cooked meal for your dog that's balanced and nutritious. If you're anti-kibble, then that's totally fine, but you have to do it in a way that makes sure that your dog is getting all the nutrients that they need in a balanced and complete form. And there's no point for it to be raw. Your dog doesn't need raw food. Give me 1 point in the comments as to why your dog needs something that's raw. Cooking it doesn't take away nutrients, or at least it doesn't take away nutrients to a significant degree that would affect their health. And dogs don't really care whether it's raw or cooked. They don't have as many taste buds as we do. So that is one trend that needs to go. The second trend that veterinarians secretly hate and wish would go away is the fact that Frenchies are America's #1 most popular dog. And honestly, it's been this way for a few years now. The rise of Frenchies has been insane. And as a veterinarian, when I look at a Frenchie, I don't see a cute little designer dog. I see health issue after health issue after health issue. I see a dog that sincerely cannot breathe. Its face is so smushed that it would rather sit after surgery with an intubation tube sticking out of its mouth because it can finally for the first time breathe in its life. Whereas most dogs are pawing at their mouth trying to get that tube out because it's like breathing through a straw. Can you imagine living your life in a way that breathing through a straw is the best you've ever breathed? Like, that's crazy to me. And they're getting worse and worse. Yes, there are some ethical breeders out there, but the breed standards for a Frenchie aren't great. And so we have all these backyard breeders who are, breeding these dogs to have smushier and smushier faces, and they're completely disregarding any cause and effect for what this is gonna do for the dogs, in their life. These dogs have so many health issues, from honestly just not having the body that can withstand birthing. Most of these dogs need planned C-sections, meaning if your Frenchie gets pregnant, it genuinely doesn't have the physical capacity to birth those babies. If you can't birth babies, maybe you shouldn't be having babies. They also have skin issues, so many allergies, dermatitis, ear infections. They're just prone to skin issues because of how they're being overbred. And then of course, the brachiocephalic nature of them makes them have so many breathing issues. And it's not just the fact that they, struggle to breathe on a daily basis. It leads them to be predisposed to things like aspiration pneumonia. So anytime they vomit, they're more at risk of aspirating that vomit into their lungs just because of how they're, bred and what their anatomy looks like. It's wrong. I will say hands down, I think this is wrong. And if you think I'm wrong and you think Frenchies are actually ethical, tell me in the comments, because genuinely, I want to know your rationale for why you think the Frenchie is an ethical breed. And I'm not actually one who often supports PETA. I sometimes think that they are just like a little bit too far out there. But in July of this year, PETA actually was in the process or did sue the AKC, the American Kennel Club, over their breeding standards for brachiocephalic dogs. So Frenchies, pugs, bulldogs, all of the smush-faced dogs. Oh, and I think they included dachshunds in there as well. Honestly, I think trend number 2 could just be overall designer dogs. Like all of these dogs, even though like a dachshund, a wiener dog, isn't a brachiocephalic dog, the breeding standards are creating huge health risks for these pets. The dachshund is at such risk for back issues and breaking their back and spinal pain and all of these things because it's getting longer and longer and longer, and that's not okay. Like, we are quite simply breeding these dogs just to appease our version or our definition of what's aesthetic, but we're not considering the quality of life for these pets. The amount of dogs that I see who are 1 and 2 and 3 years old who have had $20,000 worth of medical stuff in their life is honestly just getting more and more by the day. These dogs come out of the womb with medical issues, and they're being sold to owners who aren't educated about these breeds and don't know how to find a reputable breeder. So honestly, I think Frenchies just need to go. And like, I agree, they are cute. They absolutely are cute, but I cannot support a breed that has no quality of life. So let me know your thoughts, because clearly I got very passionate about that. And I have a lot of friends who have Frenchies, but I just don't think the education's there. I think honestly, when you buy a Frenchie, you need to be instructed on the breed and what issues you're signing up for. And honestly, that is on the owners. Like, you need to do your research before picking any breed. But overall, I think designer dogs need to go. I think there need to be stricter laws against breeders, and I think there needs to be accountability on the part of like the AKC who sets these breed standards. And we need to make sure that these breeds are being bred in a way that promotes healthy living for them, not aesthetically pleasing, dogs for us. And the third trend that veterinarians secretly hate are these TikTok supplements or social media supplements that have these amazing health claims, like getting rid of cancer, but are backed by absolutely no science. And these claims are, preying on owners who don't know any better. You're saying that this supplement can cure your allergies, this supplement can shrink your tumors, this supplement can do X, Y, and Z. But no one seems to talk about the fact that it's not supported by the FDA and it's not backed by any type of science. Now, a lot of them say that they're backed by a veterinarian, but how do we know that veterinarian wasn't just paid to back that product? How do we know that veterinarian has done any research into this? How do we know that veterinarian is actually a reputable veterinarian? Like, I'm not saying veterinarians aren't reputable, but when your product is backed by a veterinarian, that could quite literally be your mom who's a veterinarian that said, sure, put my name on that label and call it backed by a veterinarian. These things have no regulations that they have to go through in order to get put on the market. Watch this TikTok video. In my opinion, really dangerous information to be spreading. This video claims that this supplement will shrink tumors and get rid of cancer. Now, if you do a little digging into the product, what it's saying actually is that it can shrink lipomas, which are just like benign fatty masses. That's not what these videos are saying though. These videos are saying that it shrinks cancer or gets rid of cancer or shrinks tumors. There's so many of them on the internet right now, and people are spreading this misinformation. And what is concerning is that if an owner were to see this supplement and be like, oh, my dog has lumps, I'm just gonna get this supplement, feed it to my dog, and get rid of my dog's lumps. This supplement, I don't know if it actually works for lipomas. I think it might, but you have to take your dog to a veterinarian and get your lump assessed, often with a fine needle aspirate or a biopsy or removal, in order to know what that lump is. You can't just look at a lump and say, oh, I think it's a lipoma, or I think that's cancerous. You cannot do that. And yeah, you can make an educated guess based on looking at it, but you can never guarantee just by looking at a mass that you know what it is. So for an owner to be able to look at a mass and say, I'm just gonna treat it with a supplement that is known to, cure masses, is so dangerous, because it discourages owners from taking their dog into the veterinarian at the first sign of a lump or at the first sign that a lump is growing. And it discourages them from getting testing and instead encourages them to try this supplement that, I'm gonna be honest, most likely will not work. I think it should be illegal to be able to post claims like that online. I think it manipulates audiences. I think people are very strategic about how they post these videos. They say it in a way that is a little bit vague, but maybe they include in like a little asterisk, only works for lipomas, but the video is about how this miracle supplement can, cure lumps and bumps on your dog. And so people don't do that extra step of research, and it's actually really harming a lot of dogs. That's my soapbox of do your own research, be smart about what you're putting into your dog's body and your own body as well. And yeah, let me know if there are any other trends that you really wish would disappear in the vet world, because clearly those got me heated.